Greetings, citizens of the galaxy. Welcome to SWTOR Gaming.
Who we truly are is defined by our actions.
In today's video, we're going to go into the expansion 6.0 Spoils of War. But before we get into it, I'd like to give a special thanks to Prince. Thank you for posting this video on your channel, Urban Acolyte. So I want anyone who's watching this video for the first time on my channel and on Urban Acolyte, please subscribe to Urban Acolyte, and those who are watching this on Urban Acolyte channel, please subscribe to SWTOR Gaming, as I will continue to deliver stories from my corner of the galaxy, far, far away. For those who are unfamiliar with SWTOR, it stands for Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's a massive multiplayer online role-playing game set in the Legends galaxy of Star Wars, which is a continuation of the Knights of the Old Republic video game series. It takes place thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin. In this game, you can choose from 8 classes: 4 Republic, a smuggler, a trooper, a Jedi Knight, and a Jedi Consular, and 4 Imperial, of which you can choose a bounty hunter, an Imperial agent, a Sith Inquisitor, or a Sith warrior. You pick from one of these 8 classes and become the very hero of your own hero's journey, or play long enough to become the tyrant or villain of your very own Star Wars story, which is something that many of us wanted to do. Now that that's out of the way, I'd like to delve into this new expansion, but before I do, I just want to give a spoiler warning for those who haven't played any content from the game or are just new to this game at all. What we're about to discuss, or I'm about to talk about and explain, pretty much is a spoiler for all content that comes from the beginning of the game, the class stories, all the way up past the Knights of the Eternal Empire, past the Order of Xildrog story arc, which I would like to say, if you like Game of Thrones and you love Star Wars, Knights of the Fallen Empire is like Game of Thrones set in the Star Wars galaxy area of wild space. So it's pretty cool. But I want to give you all a warning, a spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. Okay, spoiler warning has been given, so let's get into it. Latest expansion is coming back to the roots of what we experienced in the class stories. That old tale-old battle, the ageless battle, going across the millennia, the Jedi versus the Sith. So the first schism. So this time, it takes place after all the events, like I said, of Knights of the Fallen Empire, Knights of the Eternal Throne, and the Order of Xildrog. So you are still the commander of the Alliance, but that alliance is really on its last legs. Now that you are no longer in control of the Eternal Fleet, you don't have the Gravestone, pretty much your alliance is no longer the premier power in the galaxy. So, since the Sith Empire and the Republic are gearing back up to get in each other's faces, you're going to have to choose one side or the other. What makes this expansion a little bit more interesting than previously we just go back to our sides. If you were on the Republic, you go back to the Republic. If you were an Imperial character, you go back to the Empire. But this time, you don't have to be a loyalist. You can choose to be a saboteur and sabotage your own side and a chance to probably switch sides. So you can be a saboteur or a loyalist. Loyalist, obviously, going back to your side, being loyal. Saboteur, sabotaging your side with the intention of joining the other side. Now, once you've made your choice, your story picks up on Ossus. In Tales of the Jedi Legends series, the comic series, you find out that this was the site of the great Jedi library and one of the homeworlds of the Jedi. It's where Master Owen on Earth had his last stand against Exar Kun to protect some Jedi relics. And it's where Exar Kun and Ulic Keldroma, Exar Kun being the Dark Lord of the Sith at the time, caused the Kronk cluster to go supernova, destroying burning the surface of Ossus. We're visiting Ossus again, 320 years after it was devastated by Kun and Ulakel Droma. What we find out this time is that during the events of the Eternal Empire, while the whole core worlds and the outer rim, especially where the Empire was pretty much surviving the onslaught of the battle against the Eternal Empire. A few Jedi that were survived, because most of them were unfortunately destroyed, are hiding out on Ossus. There's also a handful of Republic colonists, and they've learned how to terraform and grow new crops on this harsh climate. And it's this technique that's going to be very essential in the battle to come. The upcoming Third Galactic War. Imperial characters are introduced to a new character, a commanding officer for the Ossus forces, the Imperial forces. What immediately stands out is she's a Twi'lek. Now, the Empire has always been prejudicial to non-humans. Even if you're playing as a Sith, you find out that if you play, they just look down on non-humans. But now, due to what's the aftermath of the battle with the Eternal Empire, we come to realize two things. One is that it's hitting the Empire a lot harder than we thought. So now, so much to the point that they've now put aliens amongst their military ranks in order to replenish the ranks that they've lost after the war against Sakul. And number two, little by little, the Empire is changing into a more progressive way. There's other things that we learn that I don't want to completely tell you, which will take away from the story of there. For the purposes of what we have here for the pre-expansion, I'll just explain the So next we're introduced to is a character we initially meet through two of the 8 Imperial classes, the Sith, on Korriban, which is a starting planet, known in canon as Morabon, the planet that Yoda goes to in the Clone Wars. And they kind of have alluded to it used to have a different name, so in canon, possibly it could have been called Korriban a long time ago. Through the new Old Republic movie trilogy, I believe, that Dan and Dave from Game of Thrones are doing, we might find out indeed that it used to be called Korriban and not Moraband. But so far, that's just legends. So we meet Melora, now Darth Melora. You first meet her as she was apprenticed to the Beastmaster of the Sith Academy, Lord Renning, who is master of these, what they call Tukatas, which look like giant mutant dogs, but most of them were left to guard the tombs, and they're pretty deadly. So you do an errand, and the apprentice Melora gives you that quest. And without spoiling anything, really, the outcome of that quest gives you, this time when you meet her again, a possible interaction, a unique interaction, depending on what your choices are. Now, if you didn't take the quest, she'll just know you as the Outlander. So she'll know of you, but you won't get that little side dialogue. Now you find out that Melora, now Darth Melora, a Dark Council member, she's head of the sphere of scientific advancement and technology, and she has genetically modified herself and some Genosians, an army of Genosians, dropped them off all across Ossus. You'll remember the Genosians from the second prequel movie, Clone Wars. They're the bug creatures that are in that arena scene where you see all the Jedi fighting the droids, and it's just one of the big scenes towards the end where you have Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Padme Amidala in that scene. You find the bug and different animals that are about to attack them. And it's the same scene same area where Jango Fett gets decapitated by Mace Windu. But you know, the bug creatures in that area. So they don't look anything like them because they've been genetically engineered to be more violent and more crazy than ever through Sith sorcery and technology and genetic engineering. And these Geonosians have been dropped everywhere across Ossus. Well, I'm going to explain more about that, but let's go now to the Republic side. Like I said, Republic's also similar. You can be a loyalist and continue on with the Republic, or you can betray the Republic and join the Empire. Maybe you played a Jedi that had the dark side leadings. You hear the seduction of the dark side. Well, this time you can change. You can join the Empire and may possibly later on become a powerful Sith Lord. Just do the Imperial storyline. You're brought to this base that's inside this crashed Star Destroyer. It's a very unique setting. But when you do the Republic storyline, you are actually take a shuttle and you land on the colony, the Jedi colony on Ossus. It's like a farm or a little homestead. And the first person you meet is Jedi Master Nostaral. And you'll know Nostaral, he's a Kaldorian. Same like, I don't remember his name, it was the Jedi Master that Ahsoka Tano brought Ahsoka Tano to the Jedi Order. He's the one who, if you've ever seen the Star Wars The Old Republic timeline, his voice is the one that narrates all those videos. They're from his holo journals. And you meet a new character, Jedi Knight Tau Idair. Tau Idair. I always get her name wrong. Tau Idair or Tau Idair. And she looks really cool. Her armor looks like it could have been in Clone Wars. Half armor, half robe. You know, very good design. And she has a green lightsaber. She's also a huge character too. As far as the Jedi go, the Republic side go, there's good news for the Jedi, at least the Jedi Knight and Jedi Consular classes of returning companions. For the Jedi Knight, Doc returns for the Jedi Knight character. And he was so inspired by the Hero of Tython, which is the Jedi Knight character becomes, also known as the Battle Master of the Jedi Order, that he decided to stay and become Doctor of the Jedi Colony. As well as the Jedi Consular, he has also a returning companion. Jedi Consular is also known as the SWTOR of the Jedi Order, a Jedi Council member. His companion, former Padawan Nadia Grell, no longer Padawan, is a Jedi Knight, and she stayed to help the evacuation of Ossus, and they're planning to evacuate to another colony on a different Jedi homeworld. And also she's protecting the homestead. The biggest danger on the planet seems to be Melora's bloodthirsty mutated Geonosians, who indiscriminately attack anybody at will, which becomes a bigger issue. Imperials are losing troops to basically friendly fire because the Geonosians attack anybody. It was thought that these mutated Geonosians be unleashed and then you just come and destroy the Jedi and they wouldn't have to spend any troops, but now they're attacking so many Imperials that Major Anri is losing a good amount of troops. Most of you who play SWTOR already know what's coming. And those who haven't or stopped playing the game haven't gotten to this part, it's a spoiler warning. It's going to not ruin something big, but I cannot discuss the new expansion without giving the face of the constituted Sith Empire, as far as the one who's leading the charge. You met Tau Idair for the Jedi, and there's a returning character in the spoiler alert. So if you don't want to hear about it, I'll give you the count 3 and 2, 1. Alright, I'll give you a spoiler warning. Darth Malgus is back. And I was ecstatic. I mean, I was always hoping for him to come back. There's another person I'm waiting for, another Sith Lord whose ending we don't know about yet. So, but this was one of them. And a lot of people were griping and everything like that, but I thought it was amazing because he's pretty much the Vader of the Old Republic series. A lot of similarities between Anakin. So much so that in the Book of the Sith, I believe Emperor Palpatine talks about how he thought Malgus served as a great role model for Vader. I believe Vader also respected him as well. But the design is basically based off of drawings of Ralph McQuarrie. If you check one of some of the original drawings of Vader without a mask, with just a breather and a helmet, it looks so similar. So I always believed that. I mean, I don't think anyone's confirmed it somewhere. Someone probably take a look, but I've always believed that those designs were based off of Ralph McQuarrie's original design. So he's back, and as soon as he takes control of the forces on Ossus, the battle begins to drastically change in the Empire's favor. So now we have Malgus taking control of the Ossus forces, and the tide begins to change. Every moment becomes more perilous for the Jedi and the colonists on Ossus. Eventually, you carry out certain missions, culminating in an Order 66-style assault on the Great Jedi Temple, the Library of Ossus. I'm not going to ruin the ending because it's something I believe you should play for yourself. It's really exciting, part of the story, but it's like the tip of the iceberg. Again, this is a pre-expansion, just like we had the pre-expansion for Rise of the Emperor, and we had it for Shadow of Revan. Now going into the actual expansion, Spoils of War. Now let's talk about Spoils of War. A new expansion coming next month. The war will be between the Republic and the Sith Empire, as we reiterated. It'll introduce 2 new planets. One we've been to, in Onderon. Another is not much of a planet, it's an asteroid. It's an original planet called Meksha. We'll be introduced to a new raid on the moon of Duxon. Duxon is Onderon's moon, as well as a conclusion that will take place in a new flashpoint, which is a single player kind of raid. You can also play multiplayer on it as well, up to 4 people, on the shipyards of Corellia. And the design looks very similar to what we've seen in Solo, a Star Wars story. We'll also be introduced to a new level cap because it is an expansion to level 75 and a new playable species, the Nautilans. Now you can create your own Kit Fisto in the Old Republic. So I'm used to see how many varieties of Kit Fistos we're going to see. Fat Kisto, Kit Fatso, Fist Kitso. It'll be interesting to see. I think the day one, there's going to be 120 Nautilans just running around. It would be interesting if everybody can get together on the fleet to just Nautilans, Jedi, and Sith. It would be something to behold. Now, I'd like to begin talking about this little bit of the story that we know. This new expansion is going to introduce another new character. We spoke about Tau Adair, the Jedi Knight that's introduced to us on Ossus. Well, Tau Adair is getting a Padawan, a unique Padawan. It's a cyborg Jedi character whose backstory seems to be linked with Tau's very own. I know what you're thinking when you look at him. If you look at the picture, he's too old. I mean, didn't Jedi say that about Anakin? But it's something that creative director Charles Boyd alluded to, that it's possible that what turned him into a cyborg might sideline him from completing his training. And we'll find out more about that in his story. Let's move to the 2 new planets. First is Onderon. Most of us who know it either know it from the Tales of the Jedi comics, the KOTOR series, especially KOTOR 2, or the Clone Wars. In Clone Wars, we see this planet and the episode where Ahsoka Tano stays behind to train some rebels to fight back. The 2 rebels that Ahsoka trains are Steela and her older brother, Saw Gerrera. You know Saw Gerrera from Clone Wars. You see young Saw Gerrera. An older Saw Gerrera appears to us in Rogue One. Also, recently in the Jedi Fallen Order video game. In the Tales of the Jedi comic series, it's the same place where Ulic Qel-Droma fell to the dark side. And then later him and Exar Kun fought over the title of Dark Lord of the Sith, which eventually went to Exar Kun, with Ulic being his apprentice. So there's a long history of like civil wars, Mandalorians, Jedi, and Sith. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some good lore. Next is a playable area, but it's not a planet, it's more of an asteroid, a hollowed out asteroid called Mek-Sha, which is probably the most interesting about it. It's not only new to Star Wars, the Old Republic, but it's a new location in Star Wars Legends Galaxy. Now the backstory to Mek-Sha is that it was a slave-operated, mined-out asteroid facility owned by the Hutt Cartel. Again, there's spoilers for the ending to Rise of the Hutt Cartel, so if you have not played it and you don't want to hear any spoilers, you should probably, skip over this in a couple minutes. 3, 2, 1. So the Hutts try to take over the core worlds and then later try to galaxy, but took a big loss for their efforts. After the Hutt Cartel was defeated, the slaves of Mek-Sha revolted and kicked out all those slimy Hutts and took over. Mek-Sha is now a neutral port where smugglers, refugees, merchants, and bounty hunters visit and take part in business, among other things. To me, my first opinions of Mek-Sha was it looks like something crossed between Blade Runner and just Nar Shaddaa. Overall, it looks great. I can't wait to see what unfolds in this new playable area for us. Next is Corellia. Corellia is not new to anybody who knows Star Wars, but I think we're first introduced to Corellia as the home planet of Han Solo. I don't think anything was newer than that. Find out Han Solo's from Corellia. You find out from the Falcon is a Corellian, the YT freighter, and we see it in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Corellia, if you also know Legends, is also responsible for the creation of the YT's older model, the ship of the smuggler. Right here in this flashpoint on Corellia is where the story will come to an end, as far as this chapter of the story. The reason I bring up a lot of the ships is because the story apparently has to deal with the Corellian shipyards. We see a little bit of it when you do stories on Corellia, but I think the Sith will try to take control of the Corellian shipyards, and the Republic, since Corellia is one of the most important worlds, the Republic will again have to defend Corellia. So it'll be Tau Idair versus and her Republic Jedi forces versus Darth Malgus and Sith Empire, probably with some surprise along the way, but the conclusion of Spoils of War will take place on Corellia. Now let's move on to Duxon, one of Onderon's 4 moons. And Duxon has a rich history. The Jedi Revan fought against Mandalorians and suffered heavy losses trying to capture Moon Duxon. Eventually, Mandalore had to retreat. A character that you meet in the first Knights of the Old Republic, who's another companion character in Knights of the Old Republic 2, Mandalore. You find his Mandalorian enclave. There's the Beast Riders, whose beasts originate in Duxon. Most of the monsters, like all the monsters you find, all come from the moon of Duxon, because its atmosphere is so close that pretty much these beasts called Drexels just fly over, and it's infested with all sorts of monsters. But Evil Corporation, you probably heard it before, Zerka is back at it again. They set up shop with a secret Zerka corporate research facility, which has apparently been modifying different species genetically, making them into lethal monstrosities to sell to the highest bidder. My first introduction to Zerka was in Knights of the Old Republic, where you find out that they've enslaved the Wookiees and been using them as labor. So, I mean, it's interesting to see what kind of monsters we'll see. Will we face Mandalorians, because Mandalorians always had a presence on Duxon? Will there be Trandoshans, because all the monsters that are on Duxon naturally bring hunters. Trandoshans serve the goddess and try to get their Jagannath points. Mandalorians love the great hunt, and they try to hunt the most deadliest beasts they can. So we'll see what that brings. Lastly, for this new expansion, 6.0 will bring some more changes to free-to-play. Look, guys, this game is great. One of the only MMOs, they're in the top 10 all the time for one of the best MMOs of the year, especially with their story and their free-to-play. With 6.0 Spoils of War, people who pay nothing, free-to-play players, will also get the Rise of the Hutt Cartel expansion and the Shadow of Revan expansion for free. That's right, you pay nothing and you also get that along with the class story. So there's so much you get without having to pay a dime. If you like Star Wars, it's something I recommend. You create your own character. You can create a character that looks like your favorite Star Wars story, or you can create a version of yourself and become the very hero of your own hero's journey. What are you waiting for, right? That's pretty much all there is for now. A lot of great things coming to this game, so Hopefully I'll see you guys in game. Last but not least, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and may the force of your will further your destiny.